Our script is called West to Hope. I'm the narrator, and I'm Maggie.
I'm James, and I'm Cole.
I'm Woody, and I'm Isaac. I'm playing Dag, and I'm Davis.
I'm Traveler, and I'm Taylor.
I'm playing Mom, and my name is Sabrina.
I'm Alyssa, and I'm Ian. The Dust Bowl, Drought, and Black Blizzards. The people living on the Great Plains in southern Kansas and panhandle of western Oklahoma and northern Texas were especially hard hit during the Great Depression. This area became known as the Dust Bowl. Farmers had plowed under the tough prairie grasses and that had fed the native buffalo of the plains and planted wheat that didn't hold the soil well. The Great Plains was hit by a long and brutal drought between 1931 and 1937. There was virtual no rain, but clouds of grasshoppers swept across thousands of acres, eating everything in their path. The Dust Bowl years featured horrific dust storms called black blizzards, with the dust blowing at gale speeds. The endless blowing dust forced people to cover their faces with wet clothes to help them breathe. The wind stripped away the topsoil, making the land on the plains much less fertile and likely to nurture crops when rain did come. Inevitably, to grow crops caused many farmers to lose their farms to banks and held loans based on the buildings and land. More than 2 million people were forced to leave their farms and travel someplace else to live. Families loaded with few possessions they still own on a horse-drawn wagon or an old jockey. Many families had nothing but had carts or children's wagons.
California dreams. Over 1 million people headed for California, where they hoped to find farm jobs. Those with cars drove until they ran out of gas and then waited with a few feet of garden hose until a kindly stranger drove by and let them siphon a few gallons of gas out of their own gas tanks. Some people walked all the way or got occasional help from strangers as they headed west. Farmers lived on large lands, boiled cabbage, cornbread, coffee grounds, carrot tops, apple cores, and garbage they could scrounge from farms or town dumps. The water supply, usually streams or ditches, became polluted because it was used for drinking, washing clothes, bathing, and toileting. Contagious diseases and lice were widespread. Many children and older people died from malnutrition, illness, and injuries. These migrants were not wanted anywhere, and many communities just forced these homeless families to move on. They had no place to go and no hope for work. When they arrived in California, they seldom found any work there either. The script Hope to West describes the pain, suffering, and failures of one family uprooted from their farm and forced to travel west, looking desperately for work and food. The narrator introduces the Goodman family from the Oklahoma Panhandle who lost their farm to the bank when they could not make their payments. The dust and wind destroyed their crops and land. They took what little they had on their broken down old jalopy and headed west, hoping to find work on the farms in California. Along the back roads of Oklahoma and along Route 66 across the southwest, the family watched their old vehicle fall apart. They begged for gas from strangers and pushed the car when they had to. The children foraged for a few potatoes or vegetables left in the field, and for birds, rabbits, and anything else which might be eaten. The Goodmans meet other families at a campground and hear this discouraging news that California may have no work available either. Nonetheless, they are determined to press on. They have nothing to go back to and have very little hope of a better future with where they are going. They keep pushing ahead in a river of misery, hoping for a rainbow or a miracle.
Black blizzards of dust pounded the Oklahoma Panhandle for 5 years. The Goodman family watched the crops on their prairie farm dry up and die because of lack of rain. The cattle and chickens ate weeds and smothered in the dust. Mr. Goodman lost his land to the bank when he could not make the payments on his mortgage. The family loaded their few remaining possessions on an old, broken-down jalopy with boards on the back to hold their suitcases and their children.
I hate to leave this farm, but we have no choice. I can't get work anywhere. Everybody here is bad off as we are, or worse. They say there's work in California. We just have to give it a try. We've got enough gas to get us to Route 66, I think.
How are we going to get there, Dad? We don't even have money for gas. Our food won't last us but 2 days.
We'll hope in the Lord, Annie. You take care of your brothers, Jane and Woody, and make sure they don't fall off.
The family traveled along the dust-wet roads of western Oklahoma and into eastern New Mexico, where they turned onto Route 66, the long road leading to California. Dad took out a piece of hose a few feet long.
We're out of gas and lucky we got this far. We'll push our jalopy along this level stretch and hope for a kind motorist to pass along.
Why does Dad grab that old hose every time someone passes by?
He's hoping for a good Samaritan. Maybe this car will have one.
Mister, I could sure use a few gallons of gas if you can spare it.
I haven't much myself, but you can sip on out a couple of gallons with that hose. You folks look to be in worse trouble than I am.
It's coming on, Dad. What will we do?
You kids can sleep by the side of this road. Your ma and I will share the cab. You kids check that field. There may be some roots left over from the harvest. Maybe some stunt ears of corn got missed. Check anyways. Anything near the road's gonna be long gone. Lots of folks like us have come before.
The family continued along Route 66, traveling a few miles a day. Soon they faced even greater trouble.
The left rear tire is shot. There's no thread left on the tire. I can't patch the tube anymore. I've wrapped the tire with cloth, but you children will have to walk from now on. Ma, we've got to dump some of these things in the bag, just like we've seen other families do.
I hate to leave those 2 kitchen chairs. They're the only furniture we have left.
It can't be helped. You kids keep a sharp eye out for food. There might be rabbits or other critters we could snare. Look for birds. Woody, keep some stones in hand to chuck at anything you see. We're out of flour, and all that's left are 2 ears of corn. Look sharp.
Annie, I miss home. I even miss school. Me too. We hardly went this year because we couldn't afford the clothes and the supplies. I hated it when some of the girls laughed at my feet-bagged dresses and burlap jacket. We were going to be way behind if we ever go back to school.
The family continued its long trek westward, going through New Mexico and Arizona, finally entering California. They were pushing their jalopy, now with the kids taking turns steering.
There's a camp ahead with people in what looks like a ditch with water. We'll stop there and get the news. Maybe someone will have some food. There sure is a lot of coffee.
They pitched camp and joined other families just as poor, starved, weak, and exhausted as they were. They used the water in the ditch to clean up, but it was already badly contaminated with the dirt and filth of those who had already been there. The news they heard was not good. Nobody had found steady work, and most of the children and older people were sick with typhoid, dysentery, and other diseases.
The news isn't good, but we aren't quitting. We're going to keep on traveling until I find a job or we run into the Pacific Ocean. Our only hope is west. People from the country gave me a few gallons of gas so we can keep moving. They don't want us here. Either.
I sometimes wonder if the whole world isn't broken on the moon. All we've seen is a river of misery. Well, maybe there's a rainbow somewhere. We'll keep looking.